Hi, I'm Tom Vineski with the Times Leader. I'm here with George Bowers, founder of the nonprofit charity organization Fishing for a Cause. We're out here for our first segment that's going to run during the summer on bass fishing techniques. And George is going to demonstrate a different technique for us each week on the timesleader.com website. Today we're going to start off with different techniques for worm fishing. And George, why don't you show us how you're geared up here for worm fishing?
Okay. First thing is we probably have a rod. Right now we got a casting reel on here, 7-to-1 gear ratio, 6.5, 7-foot rod usually use for this technique. This one here is I'm fishing with a 9-inch worm on this one in the weed beds, and basically with this worm, it's a paddle tail, because when you're fishing in the weeds, if you had a curly tail, the curly tail would catch the weeds and cause not to drop correctly into the weeds. With a slip-on weight.
With 9 inch as opposed to a common 6-inch worm, can you tell me about your preference for the 9?
Yeah, I think sometimes the bigger fish want a bigger meal later in the year, and sometimes a bigger worm will maybe stop the small fish from hitting it. So instead of getting bluegills or things like that hitting your worm, a larger worm will take care of that. We're using an offset hook with this. When we slip it over, the worm over the top, take the hook, measure up the worm on the hook, put the hook all the way through the worm. Once it's all the way through, pull the worm up and let the rubber go back over the top of the hook. Now it's weedless. Now we bring our slip-on weight on it and we push that right down to the head of the worm. What this here is, we're basically just throwing out into the weeds, feet in line, straight down. So that's a straight drop into the water. Click it. Once it gets down to the bottom, we give it a jerk or two, maybe 1 or 2 reels, back down through the weeds. Again, 1 or 2 bumps on it, nothing, back up again. Work it right to the boat. Some of the other type of worms that we do use in certain circumstances with this is we use a screw-in weight for the worm, and basically what we do is screw the worm into the weight. So we set the worm up on the hook. The weight goes down on the line into the nose of the worm. It twists in, and then again we measure the worm up through, and that's the way we set the worm up with the weight on it.
Now George, one of the things that I hear a lot about worm fishing is different color worms for different types of light conditions and water conditions. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think in clear water what I like to throw is natural colors, greens, browns, pumpkins, colors like that. In darker muddy water or green water, when the algae breaks, is that I like using black, maybe chartreuse, or a piece of it, the tail's chartreuse, or items like that.